over the next 5 weeks, up and including Pentecost Sunday, we're going to be going through a journey together, looking at the gifts of the Spirit, the spiritual gifts that are given to us by God. Next week there'll be an insert in your bulletin that will list the scriptural references, and then there will be the spiritual gifts briefly described. What I want to ask you to do is, when you receive this next Sunday, don't stick it in the hymn rack, Henry to throw away. Okay? Don't stick it here. Stick it in your Sunday school book. Stick it in your Bible. If you're not in the habit of bringing your Bible on Sunday mornings, I'm going to be encouraging you over the next 5 Sundays. Pick your Bible up and bring it out the door with you when you come to church on Sunday. Stick this in your Bible. Because on the 4th Sunday that we gather together, I'm going to send home with you a spiritual gifts inventory, asking you to take it home and bring it back the following Sunday, Pentecost Sunday. I have the key to that inventory, and we'll discover together what your spiritual gifts might be. And my door's always open to talk to you about this. This is being done in response to national church development, which our minimum factor is holistic small groups for this time. And we're going to be looking for some folks with the gifts of shepherding and teaching. Maybe to head up some small groups, we'll see. But also one of the factors in national church development is gift-based ministries as well. So this will help us to discover our gifts and to utilize those gifts in ministry. Having said that, I was watching Root Sports, the Root Sports channel last month. I don't remember, it was Saturday, Dawn wasn't home. It was kind of rainy. It was just too wet to mow grass Saturday afternoon. And so I flipped Root Sports on to see if there was a Pirate baseball game. And there wasn't. But there was a tribute to Willie Stargell, the legendary outfielder of the Pittsburgh Pirates. How many of you are Pirates fans? Can I see a hand of those who are Pirates fans? Okay, quite a few. All right. And you know, Willie still holds a number of Pittsburgh slugging records, and he's remembered most for the heart that he brought to the game. He said one time, I would have played for free. After all, the umpire says play ball, not work ball. It was never a job to him. Now back in '79, how many of you remember the Pirates in 1979? What did they do in '79? They won the World Series, didn't they? And Willie encouraged them on every home game to play a certain song. Do you remember what that song was? We Are Family. Sister Sledge's We Are Family. This is what you might have heard at a home game in 1979. Encouraged the Pittsburgh Pirates to play that at the beginning of every home game, and the stands would be full of folks singing, We Are Family. And it was a theme of the team's togetherness that year. You know, Willie said that we are products of different races and different income brackets. But he said in the clubhouse and on the field, we're one. He strove for that togetherness, that oneness. And he and his team made a long and productive journey particularly that year, and they made it together. Well, the Apostle Paul understood that the life of the church is communal. I've often said, and I'll debate it with you, that there's no such thing as Lone Ranger Christians. That the life is communal. It's lived together. It reflects that family relationship that we all have as children of God. And Paul understood that. He understood that it was a communal nature. And with the chains of his imprisonment rattling in the background, Paul emphasizes an even stronger tie that should bind the Christian community together. Paul calls it in verse 3 the bond of peace. And the bond of peace is defined by the virtues that Paul writes about in verse 2. Humility, gentleness, patience, dealing with each other in love, and being unified in the Spirit, all of which are keys to a healthy family and a healthy church. The church is also creedal. As a community, we have shared beliefs. And Paul rattles off a litany of the creedal elements that we share as a community of faith. One body, one Spirit, one hope, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God. And so if the gathering centers a family or a group around a common relationship or interest, then a gathering church centers its life around a core set of values. And these elements are things, Paul argues, that unite us, not divide us. It concerns me that the church, the body of Christ, has become so divisive in this day and age, but I'll say that for another time. These are things that unite us, not divide us. They're stakes in the ground to which we are tied, the bonds which keep us together, the one relationship we share through our baptism and our faith in Christ. A.W. Tozer, in his classic, The Pursuit of God, says this: has it ever occurred to you that 100 pianos, all tuned to the same fork, are automatically tuned to each other? They are of one accord, he says, by being tuned not to each other, but to another standard to which each one of them individually bow, that same tuning fork. Okay? And he goes on to say, so 100 worshipers meeting together, each looking away to Christ, are in one heart nearer to each other than they could possibly be, were they to become unity conscious and turn their eyes away from God for closer fellowship. In other words, if we turn our eyes away from God and decide we're going to be closer on our own, we'll never be as close as we are if we keep our eyes on God and we have that unity of the Spirit that comes from focusing on God. You know, the church is a community of shared beliefs. So unified, we are better able to respond to the call of Jesus, to follow Him, to be together with Him on a journey of faith. It's not merely an individual quest, an individual journey, but it's a group travel experience to some of the neediest people and neediest places in the world. It's a kind of trip where everybody has a role and a responsibility, providing part of the resources for the journey. But we must have resources for that journey. This is why the life of the church is always charismatic. Oh, some people hear that word, it scares them to death. Oh, it must be a tongue-talking church, they say. Charismatic. No. The creedal community is grace, the gifted community, and the word of us is given grace according to the measure of Christ's gift. Each of us is graced through gift. Now, there's no doubt that God has graced the community, gifted the community with the skills to keep the church afloat on our spiritual adventure. That's what spiritual gifts are about, you see. God has ensured that the church has all the necessary hands on deck to make the journey. The church at its best is not a homogeneous group. And neither were the Pittsburgh Pirates. But we're not a homogeneous group crammed on a tour bus to sightsee our way through the Christian experience. Instead, God equips us with gifts and gives people of all different ages, stages, and abilities as fellow travelers. God resources us. And the gifts that Paul lists in verse 11 are just a few of the roles that are needed to move the first church forward in its ministry. It isn't meant to be an exhaustive list that he gives us: prophecy, teaching, apostleship, evangelism, shepherding. There'll be more. There is more than just those. But these aren't. He reminds us that those folks who are equipped with these gifts, be they professional or laypersons, they have those gifts to resource the body of Christ and to remind everyone on board of their common destination, which is spelled out in verse 13. The common destination is this: a unified faith in the knowledge of and maturity to the measure of the full stature of Christ. In other words, the destination is to be mature Christians, to be a church full of mature Christians. Not baby Christians that are still being fed on milk, but mature Christians. The particular tasks of the gifted ones is to equip the saints, you and I, making us serviceable and useful for the mission ahead. And the mission or the purpose of the United Methodist Church, as stated in our book of discipline, is to make disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world. And the purpose of this equipping or spiritual gifting is that we might be prepared for ministry, which has as its object the building up of the body of Christ. And this should continue until all of us come to the unity of the faith, of the knowledge of the Son of God, to maturity, to the measure of the full stature of Christ. And Paul continues in that next sentence. He says, we must no longer be children, tossed to and fro, blown about by every wind of doctrine. We know who we are. We know where we're going. We know why we're doing what we're doing. And we must not be distracted by other things blowing in the wind. I want you to notice something here. As an aside, I want you to notice that there is no mention of heaven as the ultimate goal. You hear me? No mention of heaven as the ultimate goal. The church really arrives when it functions fully as a body of Christ, and everyone has a stake in the adventure. It's when we become mature that we can grow into the full stature of Christ. That's our ultimate goal. Heaven's just a side note. Heaven's just an additional benefit. Heaven's a wonderful thing, but it shouldn't be our goal. Our goal is to make Christ visible to the world. And how do we do that? We can't do it as baby Christians. We have to be mature Christians, mature in the faith. I knew a lady many years ago who said in 1952, the Lord saved me and I'm going straight to heaven. And I said to her, yeah, okay, that's great. But what's the Lord doing for you now? And what are you doing for the Lord? Oh, preacher, this is the message I got. Oh, preacher, I'm just sitting here waiting for the Lord to take me to heaven. at us, and God has graced us individually so that as individuals and as a community, we might grow into the full stature of Christ and make Christ visible to the world. Christianity is the ultimate group project. And what we should focus on is the unity of the Spirit that pushes the church outward and invites people to learn and to use their gifts in this great adventure of serving God. I want you to know something right now. It's God's Spirit and not our programs that bind us together as the family of God. It's God's Spirit that does that. Focus on the Spirit, on the common destination that we have together in Christ, and on making the church community a place where everyone is gifted and everyone belongs, and you have a roadmap for an awesome journey of faith. I've seen churches who have depended on one or two people to do everything in the church. And when those one or two people die, no one steps up to the plate. You know what happens? The church dies. But God has gifted each and every one of us and given us spiritual gifts to be in ministry and to support the life of the church. And we can't just sit back and say, oh, I'm going to sit here and just let Tanya do it all. And if Tanya doesn't do it, it's not going to get done. Or I'm going to sit here and Bob Chavanak is our chair. The Lord, I'm just going to sit here, and if Bob doesn't do it, it's not going to get done. Or if Bob dies, I don't know who's going to do it, but I'm not going to do it. We're all called. Whether we're called as pastor, or office manager, or custodian, or butcher, baker, candlestick maker, I don't know, organist, or choir director, or choir. Some of us can sing, and some of us can't sing a hoot. But all of us together, functioning in our individual gifts, we become the body of Christ. We become that mature body of Christ that makes Christ visible to the world. The truth that we need to speak in love is that Christ has chosen to work through each of us individually and together as the body, an integrated whole, that journeys toward God in worship and toward others as we go forward into the world. And so in order to function properly and to be mobile, every part of every person is needed. No one person and no one gift is any more important than another. So what did Willie Stargell really know? What did Willie know? He knew that as the Pittsburgh Pirates, they were not a homogeneous group, but that each and every one of them was gifted. Some to play outfield, some to play infield, others to catch and pitch. Others' gifts were to be multifunctional players. Some were sluggers, and others were just bumpers. But Willie knew that if each person functioned in their gifted area, they could reach their goal as World Series champions, which is exactly what they did back in '79. They became World Series champions, which is exactly the way it should be in the church. Learn your gifts. Function in them. Don't say, oh, just let so-and-so teach Sunday school or vacation Bible school. And if I'm called to be a teacher, and I'm not talking about just a board-certified teacher like some of these ladies are, and some of these gentlemen out here. I'm talking about someone called of God to be a teacher. Now, I'm just going to sit around and somebody else will do it. And if they don't do it, that's just tough. The kids will just have to suffer. But I'm not trying to put a guilt trip on rather have teachers called of God. So learn your gifts. Function in them. And we can't lose, folks. We can't lose. If you learn your gifts, if you'll function in them, if we'll provide you, and we have an obligation to provide you with opportunities sometimes to function in those gifts, but if you'll function in them, we can't lose as we strive toward maturity to the measure of the full stature of Jesus Christ. We can't lose. That's our goal. To strive to maturity, to the full measure of Jesus Christ. So you're going to be hearing about the spiritual gifts over the next 3 Sundays, 4 Sundays. The 4th Sunday we'll evaluate, and I'll give you the tongue message. Folks usually wait for the tongue message. What's this about speaking in tongues? I'll finish up with that and the evaluation. So, if God's calling you to do something, step up and do it. Don't wait on someone else. If you believe God's called you, then you step up and do it. When you find out your spiritual gifts, and you may have 2 or 3 that you're high in, when you find out what those are, come see me if you got questions. We're going to provide opportunities. We're going to make decisions. Some of you who are on the nominations committee, we call the leadership team now, but it's nominations. We're going to make some decisions this year based on folks' spiritual gifts, not just on who's always done it or who would like to do it, but on who's gifted to do it as well. So, if you would,